Denmark punches above its weight in the North Atlantic Alliance, adds its voice to war alarm. Denmark is one of the founding members of the NATO alliance when it was created in 1949. Prior to World War II, Denmark was a neutral nation, but it was invaded by Germany in 1940 and became a key partner in NATO throughout the Cold War and beyond. Denmark is a small country with a correspondingly small military, but is in a key strategic position in the alliance. It is a Scandinavian country, but its land border is with Germany. The Danish peninsula strategically guards the entrance to the Baltic Sea, and it has administrative control of Greenland that was key to defending the North Atlantic. Danish's strategic position gives its influence in the alliance above its military weight, and it has used this influence to shape NATO policy. Denmark does not rely solely on its strategic geographic position in NATO to influence policy, but is an active contributor to military missions around the world. It has been a partner in Kosovo, Iraq, Afghanistan, ceasefire monitoring in Korea and the Middle East, and multiple naval activities throughout the world. Denmark is too small to mount these operations on its own, but it does so within the framework of international missions and serves an important role as an example of a small country being active within a coalition to make the coalition effective and successful. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has not changed the Danish role within NATO. It is not directly threatened in the battle in Eastern Europe, but it has played an important role within NATO and Europe's reaction to the war. Denmark, along with NATO partner Norway and NATO in waiting partner Sweden, dominate the straits leading into and out of the Baltic Sea. The addition of Finland and the soon-to-be accepted Sweden to NATO makes the Baltic a near virtual NATO lake and will make it difficult for the Russians to operate in the region. The U.S. and Denmark recently signed a 10-year agreement to allow U.S. to use bases on a temporary basis and to pre-position equipment. The U.S. has signed similar agreements with Sweden and Finland in late 2023. These agreements make it apparent that NATO's strategy is shifting north and east in the Baltic region to be the likely flashpoint in a future war with Russia. Another important role that Denmark conducts within NATO is implementing the policy to provide Ukraine with F-16 fighters. Denmark was in the first group of international customers for the F-16, therefore has significant experience in operating the U.S.-designed fighter. Denmark has not only agreed to transfer 19 of its F-16s to Ukraine, but is also one of the NATO partners that is basing and training Ukrainian pilots and ground crews of the F-16 within the country. The original schedule was for Denmark to complete their part of the Ukrainian training and transfer the fighters in Q2, but this has been delayed to Q3 2024 due to questions around readiness of the trainees. The Danes can afford to transfer their F-16s because they have started taking delivery of the new American-made F-35A. The Danes demonstrate active roles in the alliance during the Cold War, post-Cold War, and now in the current European crisis. This active status by Denmark to be a cooperative coalition partner with a strategic importance that gives it a significant influence within policy decisions in NATO. Leveraging that influence and being an integral partner of the alliance, the Danish Defense Minister Troels Lund Poulsen added his country's voice to the calls that NATO members need to prepare for a war in Europe. He stated that Russia could be ready for war and test NATO's commitment to its Eastern European members. This aligns with the German point of view, though stated that the Russians could be ready in 3 to 5 years, which is much earlier than the German prediction. Mr. Poulsen's point of view that Russia will be ready for war earlier than 6 to 10 years estimate from Germany, which is a separate than a German general staff scenario of war possible in 2025. See my Substack leaked plans for a European war. Poulsen backs his point of view based on Russia shifting up to a wartime economy and is believed to be at a point where it can produce munitions and weapons well above current European production rate. He is using the 3 to 5 year estimate to create a sense of urgency like other NATO leaders and crisis within NATO member states, so they not only increase defense spending, but across the board increase capacity of defense production to meet the Russian threat. You can see my related article, The Artillery War in Ukraine, for more. Paulson admits that Denmark is not in immediate danger from Russian aggression, but he demonstrates that the Danish commitment to NATO and collective security. Its commitment is in both leadership and action to advance NATO security and how to be an effective coalition partner. Paulson's claim was unnecessarily alarmist, but it was a legitimate call to increase defense production to meet the Russian increases and to make up for decades of neglected defenses. But it is in line with the Danish influence to shape and support NATO's policies, especially regarding the new strategic importance of the Baltic region. NATO did play a role in escalating tensions leading to the conflict in Ukraine, but the Danish role within NATO in the past and the current situations allow it to influence NATO policy in the Baltic and the new security reality in Europe.